The Rings of Power reveal a prophecy passed from Tar-Palantir to his daughter Míriel, but also explain an old mystery about the Númenorian king. Tar narrative Palantir gains a fresh detail from the Rings of Power that might help to resolve a long-standing Númenorian enigma. The fourth episode of the Rings of Power tackles a contentious but unavoidable subject, the obliteration of Númenor. Galadriel is informed by Queen Regent Míriel that the new monarch was given a vision by a Palantir seeing stone when the monarchy was transferred from a father to a daughter. This prophecy predicts that Númenor will be destroyed by the Valar as retribution for renunciating the traditional ways. The vision persuaded Tar-Palantir that Númenor needed to change its ways, as Míriel tells Galadriel. Then, in his opinion, the only way to prevent devastation was to start advocating reverence for the Valar and good relations with the Elves. The Rings of Power's Tar-Palantir is heavily inspired by the original character written by J.R.R. Tolkien in the Silmarillion's Akalebe. Taking the throne after a long line of anti-Valar predecessors, Tar-Palantir does his best to backpedal their mistakes, restoring his island's commitment to Valinor and Elves by bringing back the Quenya language and tending Nimloth, the symbol of Númenor's divine roots. Though he did his damnedest, Tar-Palantir's efforts would prove futile. In Tolkien's original works, Tar-Palantir is referred to as being far-sighted both in eye and in mind. That is to say, he was wise enough to realize the disaster that would result from Númenor's continuous rejection of the Valar. However, Tolkien only gave Tar-Palantir's mind credit for his prescient abilities. A little supplement to this mythology is provided by the Rings of Power, which reveals that the king didn't start making attempts at repentance until he saw his island destroyed in a prophetic vision. The Rings of Power's explanation for Tar-Prophetic Palantir's insight is undoubtedly more precise, albeit not necessarily more effective. Númenor did always possess a number of Palantri, however, so even though Tolkien doesn't attribute the king's knowledge to these powerful seeing stones, it's still possible he might have used one, as in the Rings of Power. It seems like a fairly large coincidence that the person who foretells the future is named after the ethereal crystal balls from the Lord of the Rings, don't you think? Thankfully, there is a rational justification. Númenorian rulers, like many other monarchs in the current world, changed their names after taking the throne. For example, Elros, the brother of Elrond, adopted the name Tar-Miniatur, and after the return of the king, Aragorn adopted the name King Elessar. These royal names frequently serve as a kind of character description for the monarch using them. In Quenya, the language of the Elves, the word Miniatur denotes Elros as Númenor's first monarch. The word Elessar is a reference to the elf stone that Arwen gave to Aragorn. Palantir is the Quenya word for far-sighted, which explains why both the Númenorian ruler and the mystic balls have the same name. The Tar-Palantir earned his moniker for his extraordinary capacity to predict Númenor's future, whilst the Palantir were given their names for their strong characteristics. In J.R.R. Tolkien's writings, the relationship makes perfect sense, but in the Rings of Power, where Tar prophecy Palantirs originates from a real Palantir, the last of its kind, according to Míriel, it looks weirder. The king must have chosen the name Tar-Palantir in advance because he did not have his tragic vision until after being crowned. Perhaps he revered the stone as a family heirloom, or maybe he was already considered far-sighted and just used the magic orb to check he was right, like skipping to the back of a crossword book. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to comment, subscribe, and give us a like.